so you're known as a brewer.
Yeah, I built a deck or two.
A couple good ones, but you had the Bombardment that's been really popular. You came up with the one that won the block.
Yep. Well, I mean, it didn't win. It lost in the finals. The hexproof block deck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it did really well, and then you also came up with the S for Spirits, I believe.
Yeah.
So you have a pretty good success with these decks. I mean, what's your secret, or what do you do? Or
good teammates was a good start. Just talk to a lot of smart people and work with them. And I mean, like for the Pro Tour stuff, I just have a great group of people who we all play a bunch of games and figure out what's going on in the format. And it lets me know like what cards are performing well and what role. Like says like, okay, we need to find a deck that's doing this kind of thing. I'm like, okay, now that I know what I'm trying to build, I can like find something that'll do that. And so like a lot of it is just about like playing a format a bunch to get the background knowledge to build a deck that is going to accomplish certain goals. Like with the Spirits deck in Honolulu, like first I was trying to build all these non-Delver decks, and we were just like, all my teammates were like, yeah, I give up, I'm just going to play Delver, it's just the best deck, like we just have to play Delver. And I'm like, okay, you want to play Delver, fine, we can play Delver. But, I played some Delver at Grand Prix Orlando, and I felt like it was pretty easy to get a big edge in the mirror if you had like a good plan for it. So if we're going to play Delver, I want like a really solid plan for the mirror. And like, I don't like equipment because I think it's too easy to hate out, and like if you like move in on a sword and they blow it up, you just lose that game. And I want to find something that's like not so high variance and not something that everyone already knows to fight. And so I was like, my goal is to build a Delver deck that can threaten someone in a powerful way without equipment. So I need to find another way to get like a large amount of power onto the table. Gotcha. And that's where I got to the Spirit package. Because like Lingering Souls and Drugstore Captain lets you do like a lot of damage without needing sword. And I figured like everyone knew that Sword of War and Peace was one of the most powerful cards in the format. I figured everyone was going to have like ancient grudges and stuff, and it was just going to be like a nightmare to try to fight through all the hate for Sword, because Sword to me seems so obviously powerful that I didn't want to play it.
Gotcha. So now do you think, as a brewer, a lot of people try to do something different, but then they end up like kind of biting themselves in the ass?
Yeah, I mean, like I said with that one, like I knew exactly what I was trying to dodge and exactly which way I needed to be different in. Gotcha. Like the thing that I was trying to do is I'm trying to dodge artifact hate. So I want to not play Porcelain Legionnaire. I want to not play Sword of War and Peace. I'm not being different to be different. I'm being different to dodge specific hate that I expect to show up.
Gotcha.
And it's like I'm being different, but I'm doing it I'm trying to be analogous. Like I know that this deck wins by putting a whole bunch of power into play on approximately these turns. So what can I do that's like Sword but dodges the hate? Well, if I just like spend 3 mana on this big creature instead, then I get like a similar clock without exposing myself on that one.
And it has the hexproof, and then they can't attack that.
Yeah.
So do you attack a meta? Is that something that you like doing, or do you just like building a deck per se and then?
No, I mean like another thing that I've like aside from deck building, one of the things that I think that I've done well over the course of my career is like look at the results of a tournament and figure out where I think a format should go from there, and like what decks are going to be popular and what strategies will be good against that. So it's very much about metagame analysis and about like figuring out where you want to be in the metagame. And if you isolate a point that's like, I want a deck that does this, but it doesn't exist, okay, I need to build a deck. Gotcha. And if you're like, I want to do this, this deck does that, I can just play that, that's easy.
So you don't have a problem net decking or per se?
No, I mean like, I've had a lot of success with like fairies like a long time ago, and I've certainly done well with just like, okay, I'm going to play a deck that everyone knows about when it's the right time to do that. But I feel like a lot of the time there's a big edge to be gained by playing a significant twist on what everyone expects, where if you can find a way to not give up any power, but change a game on someone, especially at a moment where they don't expect. So if you can play a deck that looks like a deck they think they know, and then do something that they don't expect in the middle of the game, that's a good way to really get someone, which is kind of why a lot of my decks that I build like for the PT do well in that one tournament, and then afterwards they're just like not actually as powerful as other decks from the tournament, but they did better in that tournament because I was capitalizing on the fact that people didn't expect the stuff I was throwing at them.
So how important is your sideboards to you? Do you completely
super important?
Super important. Do you like a transformational sideboard, or do you just like?
So it's interesting. It's not. The important thing to me to be able to do with a sideboard in basically every deck, in every format, and every matchup, is I always want to be able to choose my position in a matchup. So I want to be able to be like, I want to be aggressive against you, and I want to be controlling against you. I want to play a deck that's flexible enough that I can choose the role that I want, depending on what my opponent's deck's doing, basically all the time. And I also try to build every deck so that game one, my goal is to execute my plan as aggressively and efficiently as possible. If my deck does a thing, no matter what you're doing, I can try to do that thing. I can try to like play a Geist and put a sword on it and kill you with it, and like maybe counter your spell so that it gets like last hit in. Or I want to be able to like, play a Bitter Blossom and protect it, and like, invisible flight, Geist and traps, like kill you, like just any kind of like focused, aggressive, like my deck does this. Can you stop me? And then after sideboarding is where you go like, all right, now that I know what you're trying to do, I can have all the right answers, and now I don't need to because answers are better than threats if you have the right answers. Like answers are always more efficient because that's they wouldn't be printable otherwise. No one would play them. And so you can't play if you play a deck that's just answers for stuff and you hope that your opponent's asking the right questions, you just don't have a lot of control there. But if you're forcing them to answer the right questions in game one, and then game two you always have the answers to their stuff, I feel like that's always where you want to be.
Okay. Now, how about when you figure out the meta? Is there a point that you overthink it and then end up biting yourself in the butt?
That's certainly a danger. I try not to do that.
No.
I think that certainly in recent Pro Tours, our decks have done well and been good. So I haven't done that lately. There are certainly tournaments where I've had a bad deck and times when I've been wrong, but I think my methods have gotten pretty good right now.
So what tips do you have for a brewer? You say a team is definitely one of the top things.
Yeah, and I do a lot of so for big stuff like a Pro Tour and stuff, I work with a big team of very skilled players, but I certainly build decks just on my own for fun a lot, and there's certainly a process that I can do by myself, which is let's find some cards that look sweet that people aren't really using and see if I can build a deck with an interaction that I think is kind of cool in the format. I just put up a video with a red trading post deck with a bunch of artifacts and trading post, and then my red cards are Galvanic Blast and Koldatha Phoenix, and it's using some Metalcraft cards that haven't seen play in a while. But I think that what you need to do in a trading post deck is buy time to grind people out, and Galvanic Blast with a bunch of artifacts is just the perfect card to buy time because it's an early answer to Birds and Delver, but it's also an answer to Restoration Angel and Hero of Bladehold and the bigger threats that exist. And Koldatha Phoenix is just an amazing card for grinding people out. I was playing trading post mirrors and Esper control matches and stuff where I'd just Phoenix, and they're Doomblade? It's all right, Phoenix. And when you have trading posts, you can go all right, Phoenix, sack my Phoenix, get back my artifact, put the Phoenix back into play. So it just lets you rebuy everything, very quickly and aggressively. And they're that's a deck where it's not in any way metagame for this format. It's not. I'm not there's all these aggressive Delver decks and Naya decks. I think I want a really slow, grindy deck. It's not well positioned.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But I am aware of the decks that I need to beat, and that's why I'm trying to maximize Galvanic Blast to get time to do all this stuff. But it was a deck that I built because it does some fun stuff, rather than a deck that I built because I think it's perfectly positioned for the format right now. I built it knowing this is probably going to be kind of rough, but I'm curious as to like what this interaction looks like, so that it's like in my repertoire and I can use it if it's like I know how to build this kind of deck if it's useful later.
Gotcha. You get the knowledge. Of
so I mean, I think that you can do a lot of like just playing games with interactions that you think are interesting to build a knowledge base about like when you want to pull up that interaction later when it might actually be useful.
Because I heard you're like a walking encyclopedia and you know like all these cards and these reasons.
I've been playing a lot of Magic for a very long time. So like if you say like, you know, I need a card that does this for my deck, I'm like, okay, have you considered this one? Like, and I mean, I can I can do that for Legacy. Like I can just pull up random cards from X years ago and stuff.
So that's where like playing Trading Post comes into play, because you actually play with these cards and you know the interactions and what like the little loopholes you can do with it.
Right, yeah, like people will be like, I just saw this deck that was like, it combined this and this and this, and I'm like, yeah, I tried that a while ago. It wasn't very good, so I didn't make a big deal out of it or anything. But like I know about that interaction, like, and so I mean, like, you know, there's a good chance that like if I haven't actually built a deck around an interaction, I've at least thought about the interaction and whether you could build a competitive deck with it or not. Like, you know, my job, like, this is like what I do. So, I mean, my job certainly forces me to like look at what interactions exist and pay attention to the card files and everything. And so, like, as every set's coming out, I learn every card and I really know it from then on.
So do you proxy up the cards, or do you guys just wait till the boxes
I'm really
come out?
lazy. I just read the spoiler. Like, every time a new card comes out, basically, I read the entire spoiler. Like, not just the new card that came out, I reread everything else. And so by the time I'm, like, at a pre-release, I've read every card a million times. And so, like, I know all the cards before I ever see them. And then, like, I draft a ton. And so, like, I've played with all the cards because I draft enough that I open all of them and I, like, have a wide enough range of what kind of weird stuff I'm willing to try doing in Limited that I've actually put all of them in my deck. I mean, not the super bad ones. Yeah. I mean, not like, you know, I don't need to put a 5-mana, like, 3/3 in my deck to know that it's a 5-mana 3/3. But, like, if there's or like a Graveyard Shovel, like, I can just read it and be like, maybe gain life. I never need to maybe gain life. Like, but, like, if there's a card that's, like, you know, do something pretty weird, then, like, there's a good... I mean, like, Mind Moil. I don't know if you know that card. It's from Ravnica. It's not a super popular one. It's red 4. Whenever you cast a spell, you, like, put your hand on the bottom of your library and draw that many cards.
Oh, I didn't have it.
And so, like, you have a hand of, like, 6 cards, and you cast the best one. And then your 5 bad ones go on the bottom of your deck, and you draw 5 new ones. And then you cast the best one of those. And so, like, it actually significantly increases the quality of every spell you cast. It's not a card that's ever seen play in Constructed because it's a 5-mana enchantment. But, like, there's actually a place for it in Limited, and it's, like, a cool card that's very unique. And, like, you know, it's the kind of card that I might pull out for an EDH deck because it, like, really does give you a powerful effect in the long game. And, like, so that's the kind of card where, like, a lot of people would just go like, oh, it's a weird, expensive red enchantment, whatever, and they'd never play with it. But, like, I've actually played it a reasonable number of times in Limited.
So you just won't just disregard a card and say, whatever.
No.
So now, are you able to, when you read the cards, I know I have a problem with this. I can read the spoiler and I look at the cards and I get grasp of them, but a lot of times I don't get the interactions unless I actually physically play with the cards, and a lot of things doesn't sneak in for that. Is that something that you don't have a problem with, or?
I mean, there are certainly cards where, like, it really helps, like, Trading Post in M13 draft. There were several drafts that I did where I saw Trading Post and I was just like, yeah, this card looks super slow. I don't have any artifacts. I don't know how this would ever... I mean, I could make some goats or discard cards to gain life. Like, discarding cards to gain life doesn't sound like a thing I want to do in Limited. So I was just like, yeah, this card's completely unplayable. Like, ship it along. And then eventually I, like, had a couple artifact creatures and I was like, you know, I'm a kind of slow deck. This card might be kind of cool. Let's take it. And I just, like, crushed people every time it was in play. And I was like, you know, maybe this card's pretty good. And then I, like, started, like, I tried, like, taking it early and drafting around it. And, like, I had a deck that was just awesome. And the Trading Post was amazing. was like, yeah, okay, I was wrong about trading posts. Like, it's actually very good and limited if you draft around it and like build a control deck. Like, you can get a Phyrexian Hulk 11th that'll like give you an artifact creature, and then if you have like Phyrexian Hulk trading post, like you just always have a 5/4 in the late game, and like you have a 5/4 that your opponent can never kill. Like, if they're not far ahead and killing you before that happens, like your 5/4 is going to grind them out,
no matter what.
Yeah, and like that's a very unique and powerful thing to do if that's what your deck's looking for, and you can draft a deck that's looking for that.
Gotcha. Now, do you pay attention to any other brewers? Like, I know Brad Nelson was a big fan of trading posts.
Yeah. I mean, I try to read other people's articles, certainly, especially other people on Channel 5 or other people on Star City. I try to read Star City because I feel like it's good to not like repeat the same thing that like my co-workers are saying, and like if I see that like, oh, everyone's covering this deck this week, I should probably not also cover it, or oh, no one, like there's this deck that's getting popular that no one's talking about, like maybe I should look into whether I want to explore that. And also, like, if I have anything to say in comments or something, I think that it's good to participate in the community and the forums and stuff. I haven't done a lot of that lately, which is largely because I read the articles on the app that doesn't show you comments awkwardly, because the way the Facebook comments interacts messed up. But I try to read what other people say, and I mean a lot of it I just read because people have good ideas. But
who are some of your favorite people that you like, that brew good decks or have at least a good?
I think that Chapin impresses me a lot as a writer, just in terms of his ability to just like consistently put out like very well written content, and like he just puts in a ton of work. He puts in a ton of thought to everything he does. Like his articles are never like lazy, you can tell that like he's really putting his heart into everything he does. And like he's totally on top of the game. Like he'll regularly just have like, oh, like that's really detailed like numerical analysis of what's happening in this metagame on top of an article where that's not even the focus. And like that's like really impressive. Like it's a ton of work to do that. I'm lazier than that. And so like I certainly like respect everything he does in terms of the work he puts into his articles, and also like the ideas that he has, especially especially about evaluating new cards and figuring out what's going to be good in the format in the future. And like he's a great person to read like when a set's coming out, to like he nailed Restoration Angel as like one of the best cards Navis and Restored like way before anyone had played a game with it, because it was like the set wasn't out. Just like right when it was spoiled, he was like, that card's gonna be great.
That's the one.
Yeah. And
is there anyone else that's not Star City Games that you like, or?
Paul Reitzel writes a really good tournament report. He's a very entertaining writer, very engaging. He has a great personality, shows through in his articles. I haven't read a lot of Paulo's articles lately because I'm lazy and he tends to use a lot of words. But his ability to like remember what happened in a game and like just like process information is like very good. Like he has an amazing memory, and I mean he's obviously just like one of the best players ever. Very like head and shoulders above most good players. I think Nick Spagnolo is not writing for other people right now, but I know he was writing for TCG Player for a while, and his articles were very impressive. Most of the time, the reason that I read an article on somewhere other than Star City is when like someone on Twitter links to it and says, hey, this article is really impressive, you guys should check it out. I'll often follow links when someone I trust promotes an article that's somewhere else and says, this one specifically you should read, but I'm less likely to just go there day to day and see what's up.
I see. So how do you like Twitter and all in Magic? How does
amazing. I mean, it's great. It's just so cool to just like constantly have a conversation about Magic going on with all the, smart people. And like, I'm like streaming drafts, and like every time I try to put a Jam Day tome in my deck, all my viewers are like, "What are you doing? My card's unplayable." I'm like, "No, I actually have had pretty good experience with it. I think it's okay here." And they're like, "No." And then like to be able to like a day later see like Kai tweets, "Is it like good or bad that all my decks have Jam Day tome?" And I'm like, "Yes, Kai is playing this card too." Like, I mean, I could like talk to them, but I just like don't have a habit of that, and like it just makes it so much easier to like.
It's a passive conversation in a way.
Yeah, and it's just like fun to be able to just talk to everyone, and like if there's like a relevant issue in Magic, to like be able to raise it in a way that like will reach the relevant people and will also reach the public, and be like, here's a thing that I think needs to change. You guys can, retweet this and support me if you agree with me. And, like recently I said that I think that I have some issues with some of the lapsing, non-lapsing trigger rules and how that like works out exactly and stuff. And it was like long to explain on Twitter, but I'm just like, hey, there are some issues here. Judges, talk to me.
Gotcha.
And like, I think that's working. I've heard that like Toby Elliott's going to contact me on that and stuff. And so like, Wizards really listens to feedback. They follow Twitter. Yes. Like, all the Wizards guys follow a lot of people in the community, and like there are just a lot of like real conversations with real people who matter about like, whatever you want. And it's awesome to like see the feedback from the community on the stuff I'm doing, be able to give feedback to Wizards on the stuff they're doing. Like, it's so good for Magic.
So what do you not like about Twitter? What do you think is like a negative side?
No, it's awesome.
It's awesome. So people, if you have not on Twitter, get on there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're really into Magic and you want to be able to just like read Magic in bite-sized snippets and see like the conversation that everyone who's deeply entrenched is having, like get on there, figure out who's on there and who to follow, and see which. I mean, you can decide which personalities you like and don't like if you don't know the people directly, and everyone's on there, so follow the people you're interested in seeing. If you follow everyone, you get the added benefit that you can like track all conversations very easily and see when people are talking to each other, which is why I try to err toward following more people rather than fewer. Like, there are some people who I definitely wouldn't follow for their own content, but I want to be able to see conversations that involve them.
Gotcha. Now, you do a lot of streaming now. I see that pretty regularly. Every week you got like maybe 2-3 times a week that you go up? Or?
Well, it's not consistent like that. Like, there's some guys like Cedric who just like have a show and he does it like 3 or 4 times a week every day at the same time. I'm nothing like that. I play Magic Online when I feel like playing Magic Online, and when I'm playing Magic Online, I'm usually either watching someone else's stream, or if none of my friends are streaming, then I'll turn on my stream. Like, if I'm playing, I want to be interacting with people, and sometimes I want to do that by watching someone else and commenting on their draft, and sometimes I want to just like show off my draft. And it's not on any kind of schedule. It's just whenever I'm doing that. And
do you not want to have a schedule, or is it?
No, I don't want to like. I mean,
it's too much of a job.
My life is very heavily based on flexibility and being able to do whatever I want. Like my job is like write an article sometime, record a video sometime, and like at any given time I can, leave the state for however long on no notice.
Take a month off.
That's important to me. And so like. And I mean, like, I don't know when I'm going to be awake next week. Like, I don't want to set up a schedule. Like, yeah, and I mean, like, people can follow me on Twitter or Twitch and get updates when I'm streaming. And like, if you're really serious about it as like the thing you're trying to do, like Cedric and MJ are really trying to build Twitch like as a community and as their like job, and like use it to make Magic grow, and they have like all these like big ideas with it. I just want to hang out and play some Magic.
I see. I see.
I'm not trying to do anything big with it. I'm not trying to like get Twitch big. Get big on Twitch. I'm just trying to like hang out, get feedback on my drafts, teach people some stuff, like get some good conversations going. Like it's just for fun.
That's good. So you enjoy the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Has there ever been a time that you got tired, that you had to take a break from Magic, or you just burnt out?
The time that I got like kind of tired and burnt out was at the end of like 3 or 4 weeks back to back in a different continent every week, where like jet lag just destroys you, and like I'm like just physically destroyed from like just like too worn down, and like no. International travel when you're hopping around a lot is rough.
Burning the candle at both ends, basically.
Yeah. But like, I don't get tired of playing Magic if that's what you mean.
Okay. So what about this Ravnica? Were you a big fan of the last Ravnica, the first Ravnica?
I was a big fan of the first Ravnica. Like, all the sets in Ravnica were really fun. In hindsight, I don't know how anyone, myself included, could have liked Triple Ravnica, where it's just like, there are 4 decks. You can draft one of them. They all do the same thing every time. Like, that sounds miserable when you describe it.
Yeah.
Like, why would anyone ever enjoy that draft format? But I seem to remember it being pretty fun. And then once you add in the other guilds, it was awesome. And so, I think it'll be pretty sweet. And I didn't like Avacyn Restored, but
skill intensive, or just too variant?
Too many reasons. Let's just leave it at I didn't like it. But like, I loved Innistrad, and I'm loving M13. Like, it's a core set. I know everyone's like core sets suck, whatever, but like, it's so good. It's like,
I've heard a lot of people say that. Yeah.
Really, really well balanced. Like, people are like, it's the best core set. Like, obviously, it's the best core set. I think it's like good by regular set standards. Like, very good by regular set standards. Like, it's really well balanced. Like, I was worried that like I'd figure out what the best decks were and just want to keep drafting those. But it's the opposite. Like, the more I draft it, the more I figure out that you can just do whatever you want, and it's all good. Like, it's like, oh, this is like cube. Like, I can really just have a deck that does any kind of thing I want. Like, it's sweet. So loving M13. I have a lot of faith in the people who work at Wizards. I know a lot of them. They're smart people. They love Magic. They know what they're doing. I trust them to make Ravnica awesome. They know that everyone has really high expectations because it's Ravnica, and I'm sure they don't want to let people down.
Gotcha. Now, speculative. You think the Shocklands are coming back, or
yes?
Yeah.
I would bet large amounts at very skewed odds.
So, are you excited about the Shocklands coming back? And is there any?
I like good mana.
Whatever.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's not. I mean, I'm not someone who does anything with being financially reasonable with Magic cards. Like, it was obvious that Shocklands were coming back for a while, and I had a bunch of the old ones, but it's not like I'm going to bother selling them. Like, I'll just take a hit on the value of every single one of them. And so, like, it's certainly, like, bad for me financially that that's happening, but not in a way that matters at all.
In the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, it's like, who cares?
So do you get to play sets when they first come out, or do you wait to get your cards, or how do you build your collection?
I draft as soon as ideally I draft like nonstop, starting the week of the pre-release until the set like comes out on Magic Online, and then I draft nonstop on Magic Online for a couple weeks.
Gotcha.
So I mean, I build my collection entirely through drafting. And I don't like trade or buy or sell cards. I just draft and get them and throw them in boxes and sort them and can use them.
So say if you had your 2 bonfires and you had to get your 3rd, you wouldn't buy it under no circumstances?
No, I mean, if I need a card and I will buy it. But like, it's pretty easy when you know people to borrow cards for tournaments. So I mean, like, when I was like playing fairies, I would just borrow 4 Bitter Blossoms every single tournament or whatever. Like, it's like kind of annoying, but like if I don't have a card, I usually just like, all right, I'll borrow it. I don't know if I'm going to play this deck again. Oh, I decided to play the deck again. All right, I'll borrow it again.
Gotcha.
I mean, I'm loosening up on that a little bit. Like, I bought an Undiscovered Paradise because I'm like, Legacy doesn't change much. It's good to like have a Legacy deck. I actually bought Four Cabal Therapies also. I was like, I want to have my zombie deck.
So you talk about the Bombardment deck.
Yeah.
That was my first Legacy deck that I built.
Okay.
I let Smitty, do you know about Smitty?
Yeah, I saw him streaming with my deck a little bit.
Okay, yeah. I could let him borrow the cards. He's going to play for the Mox, and he was a little nervous about it because he heard that it was like very skill intensive.
Yeah, it can be tricky to play. I know that I watched I don't want to sound too critical because I watched his first game with the deck ever. Obviously, he's not going to know exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
But it was very clear that he hadn't played the matchup before, at least. Like, it was, he's playing against Mono Red Burn, and he definitely doesn't know that Blood Artist is his only good card.
Against Mono Red, yeah.
Yeah.
And he let it die, and I think this was his first one that he had when he was.
He
doing the Tusk
I think he
control.
might have discarded it or something, to a Faithless Looting, and it's no, you should. That's not. You want to discard the Cabal Therapy so you can sack your other guys to trigger your Blood Artist. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And he, named the wrong card with Therapy. He named not Fire Blast, and you obviously named Fire Blast and stuff.
Okay, so you were. I was in that stream too. Oh, that's interesting that you pay attention to that. And what do you think about Thrug Tusk? Are you a fan of that? Or?
I actually just came onto his stream because he tweeted that he was playing with my deck. So I hadn't actually seen any of that other work.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was like, I'd like to watch someone screw around with my deck. That sounds fun.
How does that make you feel when you feel that you hear other people playing with your decks?
It was a goal of mine for a really long time to build a deck that was really part of the scene and that other people played and stuff. I've had a weird string of bad luck and other stuff where no one ever plays my decks. I know, you'd people talk about me as a deck designer a lot. You'd really think a lot of people play your decks. And the first deck that I did well with was the Goblin the Bogart Shenanigans Goblin deck that I won the car with at the Win-A-Car tournament at Worlds. That was playing such popular constructed cards as Marsh Flitter, Bogart Shenanigans, Mud Button Torch Runner, regular standard staples. No one really played that deck because it was the same weekend that Dragonstorm broke out. The Chapin Nassif top 4 match that with Dragonstorm Mirror. Won a 32-person tournament, not making any big headlines. That deck was sweet, but it just a couple people played it, but it never got big. And then the Modern tournament where I felt we really broke it. The Blazing Shoal deck was awesome. But Blazing Shoal's immediately banned, so no one else ever can play the deck. Man, I finally built a major player, and it's just nope.
Infect. Oh yeah, we'll kill you right away. And then they're we got to ban all these cards. How does that make you feel though?
It's sweet. Okay, I was right. I found the cards you forgot to ban. It's awesome to just nail it. That deck was perfect for that tournament. But it's if your goal is to have people keep playing your deck from then on, and they ban the card before another tournament happens, no one else is gonna play your deck. They can't. The deck for Honolulu, a lot of its edge was people think you have equipment and you don't, and they don't know how to play against it, and they don't know what's going on. And then as soon as the deck becomes a real deck, people are hey, Corrosive Gale's a card. And you're oh, it is a card, isn't it? That's awkward. And then no one can play the deck because they just get galed, and no one brings any artifact removal against them, and it just ends up not really being a great deck in the format.
Because people have learned to master it.
People just adapted immediately because there were cards that we didn't have to worry about, but once it's a known deck, you do have to worry about it.
Fair enough.
And the blue-white mid-range deck that I've been playing, the Delverless Delver deck, I've actually gotten a ton of people have been tweeting at me for weeks that hey, I played your deck, I want a PTQ with it, it's awesome, thanks. I just got another one of those today. Someone tweeted like, yeah, I won the last PTQ with your deck, thanks. I'm not going to get any more of those because the PTQ season's over, but it went all the way up to the end of the season. Someone just tweeted at me that they won a PTQ with the deck. I was, pretty steadily getting them like pretty frequently. So that was a deck that actually like a bunch of people did play and have reasonable success with. But that's very much like still the exception for me. And like with the zombie deck, like, there are a couple of people who are like, yeah, I'm playing this deck, it's awesome, it's so fun, but like no one has ever top 16 to Star City tournament with it but me. Like,
I see. So it's like it's cool that they're winning, but I mean they're playing with it, but they're not winning. It's kind of like.
I mean, I don't know that they're like losing with it. They're just not winning in tournaments that I see the results of with it.
Fair enough.
Like I mean, I've just never heard of anyone else playing it in a tournament where I'd see the results.
Yeah, I haven't seen it since. And
yeah.
I mean, it's like why hasn't it been played? And
right. Yeah, I mean, like, do you know about Game State? It's a like Twitch show, but it's like very much podcast feel that Adam Ragsdale, I hope that's his name. A winner is you. Cedric Phillips, Glenn Jones, and
oh yeah, I think I've seen that one time. Yeah.
Stephen Flavel. Their show on Twitch where they just like talk about what's happened in the previous weekend's tournaments. Every week when they talk about Legacy, I just go like, just like as a joke, hey, do you guys want to talk about like why there aren't any carrion feeders in the top 16 of this Legacy tournament? Like, what do you think's hating that out? Like, why aren't we seeing more of that? Like, what's going on? Like, I don't get it. Like,
yeah.
What do you guys think? Why no carrion feeders? And I mean, like, I know it's just because no one plays the deck, whatever. It's just a joke, but like.
So what's your favorite format? What do you?
Cube.
Cube? Oh, really?
No.
Do you like a powered cube? Do you like a...
I like a well-built cube. Just as long as, like, the person building it knows what they're trying to do, has a consistent vision that's well executed.
Okay. So do you like the Moto cube?
It's okay.
It's okay? What's your pros or cons for it?
Black is really badly built for what it's trying to do. That's the biggest problem with it. Like, black's really bad. And then it has, like, a lot of individual card choices that don't really make sense. It's not super tight.
How do you feel about that being part of the new player championship? Awesome. Definitely.
I wanted to qualify so much when I saw that. Oh my god. I wanted just like a Cube Pro Tour, please let me play in that tournament. God.
That would be really, really, really cool if they could do that.
Yeah.
So have you heard about this Boost Cube? Or how do you
I saw it. I'm not impressed.
Really?
The idea is fine for what it is, but the implementation's horrible. Like, have you actually seen the cards in it?
Yes.
Did you have anything to do with making it or anything? Are you friends with you guys who made it?
No, I just, we actually, it's completely good because a lot of the cards I feel like are overpowered or just wrongly costed or just like...
I don't even care about any of that. None of that stuff matters. Like, the game is clearly broken. The game clearly, like, it's not designed to, like, end or have a winner. Like, it's just designed to have everyone drink a lot. Like, that's fine. And, like, obviously, like, the cards are ridiculously powerful if you're willing to drink some. That's fine. Like, no problem with any of that. They have 1 million words on them. You're trying to sit around and drink, and you have to, like, it's not like you've ever seen these cards before. So you're like, all right, let's draft this. How many novels am I going to have to read to make one pick? Like,
yeah, you would think. Yeah,
are you
exactly.
kidding me? Like, put 4 words on a card. You're just trying to drink. Like,
yeah, exactly. The more you drink,
doing?
the worse it's going to be. Because you're like, what the fuck?
And it's like 1 million words, and it's like, it's not like templated by wizards. So like, no one ever, like, have you played any small company game? Like, cards are never templated perfectly. It's actually very difficult to template a card well so that it's not at all ambiguous as to what it does. And so, like, to, like, read, like, a card that you've never seen before that uses mechanics that don't have anything to do with magic, that has 6 or 7 lines of text when you're drinking, and it's a pack full of these, like, what are you doing? Like, have you ever read, like, a Rosewater column on anything? Like, complexity creep is a real thing. Like, you're making your game too complex to be playable for its goals. Like, give yourself a hard cap at 2 lines per card. Like,
I see, yeah, fair. Because what I did, the Booze Cube I thought was cool in a lot of podcasts. So we did like a community expansion, which was we had like people from different podcasts get listeners to submit their cards, and then we try to come up with like fill in the holes and stuff. And a lot of people made complex cards, and like I was actually helping, putting everything together and cutting it down, and I was trying to make some cards that were just like easy, because I was figuring like this is making it more difficult. Like this is not where you want to be with the game, and that's interesting that you're saying that, and I think that's
like I was watching people draft it, and so I was like helping someone draft, and I'm like, okay, for every pack, just take the card with the least words on it. Just don't look at any of these other cards. Just take whatever has the least words on it, and then when you draw your hand, you'll be able to read all of your cards, and then you can actually make decisions. Like,
it's just too complex.
Yeah, just like seriously, just every single pack, just snap pick whatever has the fewest words on it, and then worry about what you want to cast when you have a deck.
Fair enough.
It's
So how do you feel about this Gen Con? What are you going to do for this weekend? What's your plans? Just hang out?
Yeah, I might play in some tournaments. I don't know. I was really lazy about like putting decks together before I left, because I just wanted to draft instead of like sort through cards. So like if I happen to like borrow some decks for some tournaments, I might play in them, but I don't really care. I've missed one Gen Con since 1994. Like this is like my con. Like I've had a bunch. Like there was like a string of like 5 years where I just like won like over $1,000 in tournaments every year, and this is like a very familiar setting to me at this point. It has a very like I'm home kind of feel.
Gotcha.
And I just like I know a lot of people here. I like wandering around, demoing games, playing random board games, talking to people, seeing what's up, watching some Magic, and not being committed to like being in the same room for like a lot of hours at a time. Just like being able to like wander and hang out and talk to people, and having time where I'm not really committed to anything and I can come have this conversation with you. Like stuff like that is just, that's what I'm here for.
So what other games do you play besides Magic, or that you're excited about?
I play a lot of board games. I like the complex like Yo style like worker placement games. I wish that there was like I wish it was possible to have like tournament support for heads up board gaming. Like I wish I could be playing Agricola for a lot of money right now.
Just taking it all. Huh?
Yeah. But I'll play other random like CCGs if there's like a sealed tournament with money in it. Because like a lot of the time like people who don't play Magic are really bad, and it's like pretty easy to like just sign up for a game you've never played before and win some money.
Just take it. Okay, I'll read these cards for the first time and I'll win.
Yeah. I think I'm super excited about Soulforge. I think it's it's filling a niche that really needed to be filled. Like it was like I'd been talking for a while about how someone needs to figure out how to make a game for that exact market, and I think they did a really good job of identifying that hole and filling it and making a really good game to do it at the same time.
What was the hole and what was the market that they were trying to fill?
A phone game that you can play in 1 minute bursts that you can be playing Moto style tournaments in. Like asynchronous, like whenever I want I can pick up, like I can be in 10 tournaments at once and just take my turn in each of them whenever I feel like it. And like so when I'm like I don't know, like on a bus I can just like be battling this thing, and then I get to my destination I can put it in my pocket and get back to it the next night when I'm like falling asleep. Like
bite-sized game.
Yeah, I mean just like a game that you can pause and pick up literally whenever you want is like, and is, I mean, that happens with like handheld gaming or whatever, but to be able to have a tournament where both players can do that is insane.
Okay, I gotta look into it more. That sounds like really fun. Did you like Ascension? I heard mixed
I'm okay
feelings
on
about
Ascension. Like I have mixed feelings on Ascension. Like it's fine for what it is. It's not super my thing. Like it's a little light for me.
Gotcha.
But I think that like with Soulforge, they have a ton of awesome stuff going that like gives it some, clean, easy play while having real strategic depth. Like there are some awesome mechanics that work there. They can do some really good things with.
I have to check out the booth.
Yeah.
So would you ever get into game design yourself, or is that?
Yeah. I've come very close to working at Wizards before. I've been very deep in the interview process for an internship. Like I was like one of the last couple people a couple of times. I'm not looking to do it right now for Wizards because I like what I'm doing. Yeah, basically like when I made Platinum this year, I stopped wanting to work at Wizards because I was like, well, if I have Platinum, I want to just play. I want to just be a pro. Like that's more like that's something I can do right now. Only that I want to try it. I want to see what I can do in the game. Make a run at Hall of Fame. Ideally, would be awesome. Like that's the dream. I'm nowhere near there. I'm not saying like vote for me in a couple of years. Like, I need to do a lot better. I need to get a lot better than I am, and I need to do better than I've done.
But you're working towards that.
That's the dream. I shouldn't have said anything. It shouldn't be on the record. I'm not even close. I don't want to jinx it or whatever. But like that'd be amazing. And I would be interested in doing independent game design that would let me continue to play Wizards if it was for a company that I really respected. I don't want to just like churn out board games with I don't know how particular I want to get to the point where it's like bashing on certain people's jobs, but like if I'm like working on games that I really like and think are awesome games, I could see wanting to like do that. But I don't want to design games that I wouldn't want to play for fun. So I actually like talked to Justin Gary earlier today, and I was like, if you're looking for investors or designers, developers, I think your game's awesome. I would love to get more involved in it than Kickstarter allows on any level. And he told me, con, busy, talk later. Obviously, that's the blow-off response, but it's also, obviously that's the thing to say. Like, he is busy,
Yeah, true.
So, it's unlikely that I'll end up doing anything with that, but that's the if I were to get into game design, that's the kind of thing that I'd want to do. And I'd like to try it at some point in my life. It doesn't have to be soon. I'm very patient. Okay. I'm in a good place now,
You're comfortable in your skin, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So any recommendations of good restaurants around here since you're a Gen Con regular?
You don't care about my recommendations because I'm a vegetarian.
Hey, I'll eat vegetarian. I like it.
It's honestly like, from everything that I've heard from other people who go here, the awesome stuff here is like, there's like a steakhouse called St. Elmo's that everyone talks about. And it's like stuff that I haven't eaten. When I'm here, I'm just like, I want to be at the con, so I just like, go to Noodles, go to Qdoba, like get something quick and go hang out some more. Okay. There was like an amazing Greek place that I went to for my friend's birthday like last year or the year before that's like somewhere in the city but not like walking distance from here, that like was definitely the best food I've had in Indy. I don't remember the name of it, but like it's possible that I'll just like Yelp like a high reviewed Greek place and see if it's the same place, because that was like might be worth going to again. But,
I see. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can get you on the podcast, maybe sometime.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see if that works in the future. And this is Sam Black. If you don't know him, he's on Twitter, Samuel Black.
Samuel H. Black, sorry. And
catch him on the stream. And
same name on Twitch, Samuel H. Black.
And Star City Games, you got your articles. And,
absolutely.
And see him on the next Troll Tour.
All right.
Thank you.